Peace. So I'm just following up on a conversation that me and my love, Miss Naya, had, and we were talking about just the teacher-student role in terms of growth and development. And I want to add on a little bit about that. I think one of the first things to keep in mind is that in a Western society that's based upon capitalism or the haves and the have-nots, you see various different aspects of that system that reinforce that ideology and that status quo. In other words, if you look at a corporate business model, you have the president at the top and you have the workers at the bottom. You look at a church, you have the leader at the top and followers at the bottom. You see that consistent through various different aspects of the society that maintains a certain hierarchy or status quo. So oftentimes, when you're striving to come into an organization or an education system or a business and you're learning things new as a student, because of that hierarchy structure, it's oftentimes not in their best interest to give you the information to inspire, empower, and educate you in order to undermine that hierarchy structure. So you're going to have people in that system that play the role as the gatekeepers or the ambassadors of that status quo. So oftentimes the people who are your teachers at school, who are your manager at work, who is your pastor at your church or whatever, it's not in their interest so that you become a pastor. It's not in their interest to make you manager, or it's not in their interest to make you to teach the class. You're beneath them when it comes to the chain of command or the hierarchy structure. That's the first thing to keep in mind. So some of the attitudes or the postures that you see that people have in those positions is because they're maintaining the status quo. That's their job. Secondly, it's important to also keep in mind that those of us who are in those positions that may not be a fan of the status quo, or who may not be going along with striving to maintain a system, but are really interested and invested in empowering and inspiring and educating people, we have to keep in mind that anytime someone comes to us as a student, that person has put themselves in a very vulnerable situation. And that is a very sacred relationship. In fact, the highest value lies in that relationship. And if our relationship to them is not one of inspiration, empowerment, and education, then we're going to be invested in those ideas or those actions that undermine the very relationship that we should be striving to maintain. In saying that, it's important to listen more than talk. It's important to consider more of their needs than our own. It's important to put ourselves in a position where we're able to give all we have and do all within our power to see that this person who is a student at this time becomes a grandmaster if we consider ourselves a master in anything. It's our job to put them in a better place than what the position that we're in. And like I said, we live in a Western society that does not advocate those type of ideas. That's more of an Eastern way of thinking. So there's a lot of challenges that go along with being able to be a resource to other people. But it's a challenge that I think is always worthy of being able to take on in terms of striving to create some level of social economic equality, especially here in the Western Hemisphere, because we often don't see that in a capitalistic society. So for those of you who have taken on that role and responsibility to say that we're here to teach and be a resource to others, make sure that the highest value lies in that relationship. And anything you say or do that undermines that relationship does not allow you to best serve the position that you say you want to be in. So it's important to be considerate, it's important to be sensitive, and we always have to keep in mind that that person has put themselves in a very vulnerable situation, and that it's important to take into consideration their challenges and their concerns, because that person's growth and development is in our hands. So I will, this was inspiring, it was empowering, and it was educating for those of you who want to know. First of all, keep in mind that we're living in a society that's not advocating equality. And secondly, if you want to truly be an advocate of equality, then you have to demonstrate that in your considerations, in your level of sensitivity, and in the way in which you treat other people. The highest value lies in that relationship. and you don't want to do those things that will undermine your ability to perform that function effectively. Peace.